Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us on in as we have a great show tonight. One of your favorites and mine, Varla Ventura is back with Our Cryptid World, and we're going to get into legends and folklore all night long. It's going to be a great show indeed, and we are very thankful to have each and every one of you here, including, let me see, did he send me the list? Race fan, you didn't send me the list. What the hell? What the hell? It's Wednesday night, man. Where is my list? All right, Kitty Caddywhack in the gold medal position. T-Bone, my man, with a silver. Road Flair with a bronze medal tonight. Mama Catherine, there she is. Mwah. Mama Catherine, how are you, my dear? I love you. You're the best. Skip to Malou, good morning to you. Race fan, where is my list? And Terry O'Rourke, not Terrier, Terry O'Rourke. Welcome to SOR chat. And let's see here. Jessica Davenport with a soft J. Little Cam on Twitch. He literally ate 58 Hungry Man meals in 26 minutes to warm up for tonight's show. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Laura Lobbs, Alpine Fur, a.k.a. Thomas Rock. Lucky, what's your name? Lucky Gypsy. How are you? Mel WD40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because Varla says she's not coming on this show unless she's all lubed up to talk some legends and folklore. So thank you, Mel, for lubing us up as we speak. Al Gray over on Twitch, so excited to have some Twitch friends. And that Varla's on the show, did 3,000 push-ups in 4 minutes. Luscious Jules is here. Luscious Jules will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Operation Shutdown, Candace, nice to have you both here as we continue on with our roll call tonight. And we have a LinkedIn user, not sure who that is, but hello, on the X Zone, East Coast Turnaround. Welcome. And Scrub-a-Dub-Dub, getting my tub. How are you? Super Crazy and Kathy Evans, nice to see you. And B. Arthur is around here somewhere. The Golden Bee. Yes, he is. He's golden. Desert Rat, how are you? Carol Amario is here. Carol Amario will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. All right. Good evening, Flat Sixer, Ginger Turtle, and Paramarv. How you doing, buddy? Good to have you. We're not up on YouTube. I could guarantee you we are not playing on YouTube right now. I don't think so. Holy cow. We are on YouTube. What the Sam Hill? Oh, my. I guess we are on YouTube. I didn't even know. Look at that. Oh. You learn something new every day. Hey, Varley, we're on YouTube tonight. We're back, baby. We are back. All right. And yeah, holy cow. I'm flustered now. Let's get the radio side going. Hold on. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Glad to have you all here as we're hanging on out with Varla Ventura and our cryptid world. It's going to be a great night indeed, as apparently we are back on YouTube tonight, which is surprising. I thought we had got a week. Apparently we don't. All right, maybe they reviewed our file and said, that wasn't too bad. W. Decker, a.k.a. Area 53, 54, that is. Thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. Love you, buddy. T-Bone, my man, you are the best. Gifting 5 memberships. J. Truth Seeker, Pat Leal, nice to have you all here. And thank you for the love. I'll get through the rest of them here momentarily. Throw those horns up, everybody. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods, where together, my friends, we own the night. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have an amazing show coming for you tonight. Varla Ventura and our cryptid world. We're going to get into some really cool, weird stuff that I'm sure you will enjoy. Then in hour number 3, it's going to be a busy one. Why? Well, we have Swamp Dweller kicking things off. We're going to follow that up with Katie Page and the Encounters. And then after that, it is the weird news of the week. So while we're getting to it, let's get ready for Varla. She is absolutely amazing. Varla Ventura is a best-selling author, folklorist, and curator of the strange, who has spent her career deep diving into the world of ghosts, monsters, fairies, witches, and the forgotten lore hiding between history's cracks. Known for her captivating storytelling and encyclopedic knowledge of the paranormal, Varla brings centuries-old legends to life with a modern voice that resonates with anyone fascinated by the darker edges of folklore. Her books unravel the truth behind haunted places, supernatural beings, and the uncanny experiences that continue to shape human life. On YouTube, of course, you see her each and every month here on the show. Her name draws in views searching for intelligent, entertaining, and narrative-driven explorations. Her website, varlaventura.net, where you can find her books, or at any major bookstore. Yes, they still are around. And I'm telling you right now, I don't know if you're like me or not, but I could tell you this. A book is so much better than reading online. Do yourself a favor, go back in time and buy a book like Varla's. It's so much, the smell of the pages, the turning of the pages, the being able to actually build that movie in your head by the words a great author like Varla uses. Go get that book. varlaventura.net. Varla, how are you, my beautiful friend? How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me
I
back.
had you muted. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, it's because I was, cussing in the background.
You are a potty mouth is what you are. Absolute potty mouth.
Yeah, I'm a
That's what you get
sailor.
for being a goaltender mom.
Yep. Yep. Goalie mom and raised by heathens. That's just what you get.
I got to ask you, because you are a hockey mom.
I am.
Okay.
I'm a hockey mom.
With all of that going on, being a hockey mom, how many swear words do you use per game?
Okay, so I just swear a lot in general. To the point where we have a jar that I don't even put money in it anymore. That's he's 14 now, he can handle it. But we've had that jar for a few years. I swear more than probably most of the other moms. I mean, I'm actually pretty silent during the games. This is what I say. Get up. When my son's in net, get up. And yeah, I say that mostly. Because they drop down and you want them to get back up right away so they can be ready for the next shot. So yeah, I'm actually pretty quiet during games because I'm kind of just focused and I don't know, stressed.
So
Stressed out a little.
my son about 2 weeks ago had a couple of buddies over. They were out playing Nerf guns outside. And I hear him drop an F-bomb, and he's only 12. So I wait till his friends leave. I call him. I said, hey, you know that F-bomb you dropped? I said, I heard it. And he's like, and he kind of got that sheepish grin on his face. I'm sorry, Dad. I said, look, son, at your age, you shouldn't be using language like that. However, on the ice,
You can say whatever
I
you want.
expect it to happen. Okay.
Yeah.
So I gave this long swear word that was about 35 letters long. Okay. Of course, there were spaces in between each word. I said, on the ice, you can talk like that. Okay. Said, I said, well, you're sticking somebody or you got to push somebody out of the way and you got to do that. You go for it, but not at home, not in school, not in front of your peers, your elders.
Right.
Okay. And especially not in front of your mom. I said, so otherwise, let her rip, man. If you're on the ice, yeah, you got to. That's part of the game. It's part of the game.
One thing I think this is sort of an inadvertent tactic on my part, but because I swear a lot, it's sort of made it uncool. It's sort of made it like, oh, that's something mom would say. I don't ask what they say on the ice stays on the ice because my son's a very, very nice kid, but he's pretty aggressive when he's in that net. And I've been at the right angle to see him throwing the punches under the pile when they're all
very nice.
I know what's happening. I know what's happening.
Really like hearing that. Look, I'm old school hockey. There might be a lot of woke hockeyologists out there. Okay. There's a time and a place for political correctness. On the ice is not one of them.
I don't know how many woke hockeyologists out there really are, Dave.
Well, I'm just saying. Okay.
I mean, there's a big movement, of course, towards like equality and representation and having more diversity so that kids of all abilities have access to the equipment, like goalie stuff.
I agree with that. Hockey is expensive.
Right. Well, we wouldn't have been able to really even start it had our association just gave, young goalies just get pads until they get hooked enough. And then by then you've got a couple years to save up.
Then you're screwed.
Oh yeah. It's outrageous. It's outrageous.
Yes.
So
yes. I fully agree. Fully agree. Look, a lot of people will be upset that I even said that, like, don't tell your kid to swear on the ice. Oh, no.
Oh, funny. Dave, I was thinking, wow, how sweet that you told him not to talk like that otherwise.
Oh, of course.
I thought that was pretty good. It was better than me.
Yeah, him and I play mini sticks almost every night.
Oh yeah. Oh my
And
God. Do you have the mystery? Do you have stores with the mystery minis? Is he into those? You
no,
go in and it's like a blind mini.
no,
They have them here at like, I don't know. Do you guys have Shields up there? Shields Sporting Goods. A lot of the sporting goods stores, they would, at the tournaments, all the boys want to go in and get these mystery minis, even though they already have them, and they're just wrapped, and you unwrap them, and they're different brands and stuff, and the knee hockey obsession.
it's a good obsession though. Good
Yeah,
obsession.
it's cute. Yeah, I think since the last time I talked to you, we had our first proper out of town tournament and chartered a bus. That's the first time we've done that with any of our teams. And you don't usually do it when the kids are young. That's kind of something more like the high school teams do. But one of our dads was just like, he really wanted to do it. And he talked this bus company into just a screaming deal. And it was a lot. It was a lot of fun. It was, yeah, you'd think I don't want to be with those people that much, but you do.
You know
really
what?
do.
Before we get to some real topics tonight, I can remember when I was playing hockey, we were heading down to Seattle, January 16th, 1991.
Mhm.
And while we're on the bus, radio report comes on that the United States started bombing Iraq for their invasion of Kuwait.
Oh, right. 91.
So,
Yeah.
so here we were riding on the bus to Seattle because we had a game in Seattle that night. And, it's a 2-hour bus drive.
Yep.
And here we're listening to the news, that Iraq is being bombed in the first Desert Storm. It's kind of cool. Kind of cool.
Yeah. God, 91. I was so wait, so you were in high school, right?
I was 17 going on 18.
Okay. How old was I in 91? 15. I was in 10th grade. Yeah.
Yeah.
The 90s. Yeah. No, I
Who thought the 90s would end up being the decade of decadence?
I know. Who
Right?
knew? Who knew? I
Who
think
knew?
we kind of knew. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the 90s. Thoroughly. Like, I got a lot out of that decade. A lot.
Didn't we all? Didn't we all?
No regrets.
For people who may be listening
And
to
no record. Nobody had cell
nothing on
phones.
social media. Nothing on social media. Thank God.
Mm-hmm.
So
Thank
for
God.
people who've never heard of you before, because there's always new listeners tuning on in each and every time, whether it's on our social media or whether it's on our beautiful radio stations that broadcast us. And this time of night where we say hi to Len at the Rattler, or the Bull at the Bull in Apache Junction, Arizona. Hi, Len. Time for bed, buddy.
Hi, Len.
Okay. Yes. Good night, Lenny. Len's like huge. Like he's massive. He's probably at the gym like 16 hours a day. One of those guys. One of them healthy people. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's you love a good legend. You love a good story from the past and bringing it back to life. Where did you find that love?
I think I found that love in very, very early childhood. My mom is a storyteller, and she used to just tell us stories. I mean, she would literally just, she would read us stories, of course, but frequently she was just telling us stories. And I remember sometimes we'd have to like wake her up because she'd fall asleep like mid-story, which I completely relate to now, right? It's like, oh yeah, you're not going to make it through to the end. And that also, very, very young reading just all the like Grimm's fairy tales and the Anderson's fairy tales, and just really gaining an appreciation for, I guess, just kind of a magical worldview. I had that from a very young age. I was always a very creative child, and I was lucky enough that my mom and her friends, encouraged that. So and then, I don't exactly know where. I just think some of us are just like built like this. But I remember like rooting for the villain and the monster and the horror stories from like a really young age. Like I had a huge crush on Freddy Krueger when I was like 10 years old.
Do you remember the song by Will Smith when they did that Nightmare on My Street? It came out, I think, around like Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4.
Okay.
That song, I was never into the paranormal as a teenager. Okay. Not into it at all. Never had an experience, nothing. And what I remember is that song. There's a part in the song where Freddy starts attacking them. And between 1 and 3 in the morning for about 2 months straight. Because I would, back then, for you young kids who don't know this, okay, many of us used to go to sleep with the radio on.
Yes, always. You fall asleep with the radio on.
Okay. And you were hoping to hear your favorite song at that time
Mm-hmm.
before you fell asleep. And I would wake up between 1 and 3 in the morning to this Nightmare on My Street with Freddy Krueger going nuts.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
scary for me. I actually turned off my radio for like, I think it was 3 months. I refused to sleep with my radio on because of that song. It scared me so much.
I remember going when Michael Jackson's Thriller came out. There was like one friend that had MTV. She lived down the hill. And so a bunch of us, there were maybe like 7 or 8 of us girls got invited over to her house. And it aired at midnight on MTV, Michael Jackson's Thriller. And we stayed up super late. We watched some other movies and stuff. And it came on. And, it's pretty freaky. Like it's really, really good makeup. And of course, it was all fine and good. We watched it. We're all excited. And then it was like one of those things where, one of us had to pee or something. And it was like, okay, who's going, no one wanted to go alone. And we all kind of scared each other. It's so great. But, also like I grew up just like spending a lot of time in cemeteries, reading horror stories from a young age. Like I had older siblings that would leave behind a Stephen King book, or I'd stay at their house and, I'd be reading Stephen King pretty young, like 10, 11 years old. There's things in there that you don't quite understand, but, you get the gist, right? I learned a lot about sex from Stephen King, actually. that actually just explains. I just had an epiphany.
Well, there you go.
So much. Yeah. So, so I don't know. I just kind of have always leaned that way, and just have always been interested and had a lot of paranormal experiences when I was a kid. And my mom was always doing things like, what color is the next car coming up the hill, and psychic tests and things like that, and got us a Ouija board when we were young. So that was very normal to me to just experience all of these things. And I thought nothing of it. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I didn't really think anything of it until I kind of got older and realized, oh, people have like, have to go to church on Sunday and their parents don't let them play with tarot cards or watch scary movies. And, so that was, I didn't realize that, so it's like, that's when you realize your family's slightly off kilter, I guess. But to me, I just always loved it. And then eventually, I was able to gravitate toward others. You just find each other, It's just like that meaningful eye contact of like, yeah, you get it. You stay up all night and talk to ghosts.
Absolutely. We got 4.5 minutes left. Tell us a ghost story from your childhood.
Well, what the best ghost story is the story of the little girl who came through the Ouija board. That is the best, kind of the freakiest ghost story that I have, that it didn't scare me at all at the time. And that was that my mom had gotten us a Ouija board for Christmas, and we were playing with my sister and I were playing with the Ouija board, and we made contact with something, and like repeatedly having conversations with this thing. And then one day my mom walked in and she asked us what we were doing. And we said, "Oh, we're talking to Elise." And so it turned out that there was a, some kind of entity came through and said it was I think the name was Elise. Well, it turned out that there was actually a lone grave, which is a very unusual thing. As you know, living in like kind of the pioneer territory there, you don't have just a single grave very often, and let alone one that has a marble headstone and footstone. But there is a grave, a lone pioneer grave, of a little girl named Elise who died when she was like 7, which was about the age I was when we were playing with the Ouija board. And she came through. Now, we don't know if that was actually her. And I cannot remember the sequence of when the grave was discovered, and like how long before or after that we were making contact, but it scared my mom enough for her to like take the Ouija board away from us, much to my chagrin. And then a lot of my paranormal stories are actually, my ghost stories are very mild, very like lovely. Something pressing down on the foot of the bed, the appearance of a grandparent, something kind of tapping on my shoulder, or tugging my hair, or hitting me on the forehead, hearing my name called, hearing a voice tell me things. Like not a lot of, some of those like really scary, like poltergeisty type. I've never had any of that. It's always just been a very pleasant, I've had a very pleasant interactions with the paranormal. So I've not really ever had cause to be frightened by it. And maybe that's because I've just been around it my whole life. So I don't expect to be frightened by it. I'd be shocked. If I actually was genuinely frightened. Lots of other things scare me, Dave, but not ghosts.
Well, what scares you?
Oh, humans. Human behavior, human predatorial behavior, unwanted. Let me amend that. Unwanted human predatorial behavior. Catastrophe. Like the normal fears, right? Like, what kind of world is my son growing up in? Like those kind of fears.
Yes.
Yeah. But since having cancer, I don't really like have a big fear of death or anything. It's just like, well, we'll see what happens.
I mean, man, freaks the hell out of me.
It does.
Oh, I can't even talk about it.
Okay.
I
Okay.
cannot even literally. I will have like even like I'm talking like near death experiences with people or something like that.
Oh, you can't do that.
I literally can feel my anxiety building, and then when I crawl into bed that night, it takes me about 2.5 hours after the show.
Oh, okay. Well, we won't talk about it, but it's.
Oh yeah,
sounds pleasant to me.
Freaks the daylights out of me, Varla Ventura.
Oh my gosh, like forever being in infinite darkness. It sounds amazing.
Oh, that's what frightens me. Like I can feel the panic attack starting.
Okay. Let's change the subject.
Varla Ventura is here on Spaced Out Radio. She joins us monthly for Our Cryptid World. And when we get back with Varla, we're going to get into some legends, folklore, her favorite legends, growing on up, and what she loves to cover in her books, which can be found at any major bookstore or on varlaventura.net. Stay tuned. All right, we are clear. Hey, a few people asking what happened. Why were we banned a couple of days from YouTube? I'm actually surprised we're on YouTube right now. Totally surprised. So what happened was Lon Strickler on Monday night, going into the second half hour, his computer literally blew up. So I didn't know this from the second half hour, right from the beginning till end. And then I called Lon at the break, and he's like, Dave, I can't come back on. Like, this is an issue. Like, I just cannot make it. So, okay, I'm scrambling during the break thinking, what can I do to fill the time? So we were talking about Flight 21. I had the report that he had written up, and we were going over that. And then I remembered in our latest video called Story Time, I recorded my buddy Mark Spender in a lawn chair at Flight 21, and I was interviewing him about his experiences there. So during that video, Mark is sitting on his chair, and you can see about 4, maybe 5 inches of the barrel of his pointy stick on his lap. So immediately the video got taken down, and I got banned from YouTube. I appealed it, did not win. Because my thinking was, well, YouTube has a bunch of videos about pointy sticks, people testing them out, shooting them, doing whatever, even war scenes, war scene videos from conflicts around the world. So why would they do that? But then I thought about it, and I thought, no, Dave, I'm totally in the wrong here. I'm totally in the wrong. Yes, Varla's with us. She's checking her text messages. Okay. And let me tell you where I was in the wrong. The reason why they have a zero tolerance policy about this, okay, emotionally, I said, this is BS. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm playing my own video. But I get it, because what they're trying to do, and they have a zero tolerance policy about it, is they are trying to make sure that very sick individuals do not go on a live stream and start shooting places up.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's why. So when they see a pointy stick on any live video, they immediately cut the feed. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I agree with it.
Yeah.
I don't like this scenario because I was playing a video. And maybe that's the reason why we're actually back on YouTube tonight, because maybe it got reviewed by them in the background. And that's kind of how it worked. Okay. And that, because I expected us to be off the air for about a week, but here we are back on YouTube. So
Yeah. How long ago was that, Dave?
Monday.
Okay.
So
yeah, so your appeal probably worked.
Maybe, but what I can say is there's YouTube for all of its little quirks and things that we don't understand. I get it. I can see where people are a little upset by it. Okay. I get that. I was upset too. But the good part about it is they're doing it to save people. Okay. Right. So I'm not very concerned about it. And, it was a mistake that I made because I was ignorant about the rules. And so therefore, if I'm not worried about it, please, for you guys, don't be worried about it, because I was in the wrong. And now the more I thought about it, I would feel absolutely horrific if they did allow it and some nut bar decides to, run into a shopping mall while live streaming and do something stupid. Yeah. So I get it. I totally get it. And I'm good with it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in.
Mm-hmm. Boondock, what was exposed was about 4 to 5 inches of a barrel of a pointy stick.
When you first started saying that, when you said you were banned, and then like you started saying that on like your Instagram, you said 4 to 5 inches of his pointy stick, and I was like, What kind of video was that?
Right? You got to get your mind out of the gutter. That's what you
Well,
need to
I
do.
mean, a pointy stick could be a lot of things. So then I
Hold on,
realized
I'll
what
be
you were
back in
talking
10
about.
seconds, potty mouth. Thank you, Nicole, Kitty, Sun Oil, and Area 53, T-Bone, and Mel for the memberships. You guys are amazing. Here we go. Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you listening on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hey, we want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Varla Ventura is here hanging on out with us as she does each and every month for a segment we call Our Cryptid World, where we get into the more obscure and darker monsters that hang out among us. Her website, varlaventura.net. You can find all of her books at every major bookstore. And yes, buy the book. Don't buy the online book. Online books suck. Go get the hard copy. The smell, the feel, the alliteration. Go get them, including Enchanted Plants.
The gilded edges.
With the golden edges. That's right. Varla, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. This plant has pulled my hair several times today. So
I love that plant.
I do too. I do too. It's one of my favorites.
I love Lamp.
What?
Anchorman. I love Lamp. I love Lamp. Oh.
No. This plant pulled my hair. Not a lamp. Plant. Oh, okay. Sorry. I didn't get it. And
Immediate humor that you went right over your head.
Yep. Sorry.
That's okay. Legends and folklore. Let's get right into it. What makes a good legend or folklore?
Oh, well, the provenance, the backstory. Best example, Frankenstein. You know, the story behind how Frankenstein came about has led to, not only has it led to like other stories and legends, but it just lends this kind of like added air of spookiness and authenticity to it. So if you don't know that story, I'm sure many of you do, but the story of how how Mary Shelley came up with Frankenstein is that they were vacationing at in Lake Geneva. All these cords attached. I'm gonna knock something over. So they were vacationing in Lake Geneva, Switzerland. And by they, I mean, it was Mary Shelley. I believe her sister was there as well. Lord Byron, you know, who was married at the time, but not to Mary Shelley yet. And then there may have been a couple of other people there. Let's see. Lord Byron was there. Percy. No, you know what? So Lord Byron was there. Percy Bysshe Shelley was there. So I think they were married at the time, and not to Lord Byron, but to she was married to Percy Shelley. And then Lord Byron was there with his personal doctor, this guy named William Polidori. He was this Italian doctor who followed him around everywhere and had his little case full of medications that he could give him whenever he wasn't feeling quite right. So they're all vacationing together at this house on Lake Geneva. And, you know, it's a dark and stormy night. I think there's no, they can't go out. And so they decide to play a game, and they decide to all tell each other ghost stories and figure out who can come up with the most terrifying ghost story. So they kind of come up with this idea and they brainstorm and they're laying down the ground rules. Like, this is how, it's a bunch of writers. This is what we're going to do. You know, you have 3 days to write it or whatever. And then that night, Mary Shelley had this very disturbing dream about, she had lost a child not long before that. And so she had this dream about basically like reanimating a corpse. And from that, she came up with this idea about this Dr. Frankenstein, who was basically playing God and experimenting with different body parts and electricity in order to animate and give life to, you know, the creature, who we often call Frankenstein, but that's the creature. But that's such a legendary story. And then to have this legend around it is just remarkable. And there's more to it, because it turns out that Lord Byron wrote a vampire, like kind of sketched out a vampire story that night. And he wasn't very happy with it. He was kind of displeased with where it was going. He just kind of threw it away. And Polidori, his little physician, he said, well, can I run with that? Because I actually have an idea. So he takes the idea and he proceeds to write this novel called The Vampire, which is actually very sort of like kind of influenced the idea of vampires, sort of that addiction part of the vampires, like the addictive part of needing blood. Obviously, him coming from a medical background and dealing with a lot of addicts at the time, right? And so that ends up being published, and it's actually the first vampire novel published in English, I believe, long before Bram Stoker's Dracula. There were some other vampire stories that had been published, but I think the most famous one is Clarimond, and that was published in French, which is another really creepy story because it involves a priest and necromancy. So that's a good one. But anyway, so there's this whole other kind of like side story where, you know, vampires and the creature were born on the same night. So that is just to say, you know, the provenance of a legend has so much to do with it becoming a legend, where it takes place, and how that story of it's being born is like retold again and again. Really kind of adds to, you know, the best ghost stories are the ones where someone says, well, I'm not a believer, but, right? Like that's always the best way to start a ghost story. I didn't believe, but let me tell you what happened to me. And then they proceed to tell you something that, you know, is very profound and changed their lives or convinced them or just scared them and they didn't know what to make of it.
Do you think most legends are of imagination like that? You know, when I look back, okay, and this, I don't want to say this as a shot to our First Nations people, because I love their legends, folklore, and stories from going way back in time. But do you believe, Varla, that there is some sort of truth to many of these stories?
Yes. I think there's truth to all of them. I think that some of them have been wrapped in various, you know, dogmas over time. A lot of the, like a lot of the folklore, especially like even the stuff that like the Grimm brothers were collecting throughout Europe and Eastern Europe, that changed when, you know, there was a certain retelling where there was a moral that was imposed in order to kind of hold people accountable and use the stories as a means of like cautionary tales. But they existed before that. And anytime you hear a story, especially one that's been repeated again and again, like I think the best modern example of that would be the Hat Man. So Hat Man stories, they come at you from left and right. They come at you from like all over the world, and they're not all identical, but they're all very similar. You know, there is some kind of shadowy figure in a hat. usually people experience a level of paralysis. And what's very interesting is I had a woman join my writing group, and she had had this Hatman experience like 20 years before. She had no idea it was a phenomenon. She had no idea that other people had ever seen anything like this. But she was preparing her, she was writing memoir for me for a class I was teaching, and she was preparing for the class, and she fell into the rabbit hole of like an internet search of Hatman, and she was like completely shocked how many Hatmans. It just hadn't occurred to her to ever look that up, and she wasn't necessarily like listening to paranormal shows or anything like that. So it was just kind of this experience she had had. And once she found out how many other people had had it, like, it was very life-changing for her. And she kind of, fell into that warren. But that's a really good example of a story that, it's consistent enough that people are having this experience, although it's across like time and location. And it's been something that people have talked about for quite a number of years, I think, in our popular culture, but I suspect it goes back further than that. I feel like I didn't really hear anything about Hatman until probably the 90s. But that doesn't mean it wasn't happening before that. It just, I've heard similar descriptions. And, I'm always on the lookout for things in old volumes, like the volumes of forgotten lore that are, sort of older descriptions of things that we're experiencing now. I love finding those kind of parallels, and I have found quite a few of them, especially when you dive deep into some of the slightly hard to read, probably poorly translated fairy lore from Europe and Wales and Ireland.
What about nursery rhymes?
Oh, you mean like the Pocket Full of Posies? The Ring
All
Around the
sorts of
Rosy.
nursery rhymes. Nursery rhymes are very much on legend and folklore as well.
Yeah. And also on cultural phenomenon, right? Strange cultural activities, like the Ring Around the Rosies is the Pocket Full of Posies. That's about the plague. And it was just this little chant that children were taught to sing, so they would remember to sniff their little nosegays and not contract the bubonic plague. And it just became this lovely little chant that, when I was a kid, I just thought how sweet we're, was dancing around the rose bushes. And then when I was a teenager and found out it was the plague, that was, even more appealing. Yeah. Nursery rhymes. There's all kinds of creepy little tales and stories in there. And also, I think with nursery rhymes in particular, there's a lot of political commentary in there of the time. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Like that was a way to kind of take a stab at the king and his what they felt was his ineptitude, but without being publicly, without publicly criticizing the king, because that would be considered treason, of course.
Many scholars believe, I'm reading up on it right now, that many scholars believe with Humpty Dumpty, it could have been a cannon used in English Civil War, placed atop a church wall during a siege. It fell shattered. It could not be repaired as well. How about this one? Jack and Jill, the meaning, often interpreted as political satire. Possibilities include a reference to King Louis XVI as Jack and Marie Antoinette as Jill, losing their crowns or their heads in the French Revolution.
Yes. And Jill came tumbling after. Oh
my. It's apparently a moral poem about misbehavior and consequence.
Well, okay, so that's the thing. A lot of those sort of nursery rhymes, they did sort of eventually impart some kind of like moral to it. And that's what happened. Okay, so like Hans Christian Andersen all of his stories, they are creepy. I mean, those are though there are some things in those stories that actually make the Grimm brothers seem like fairy tales. Um, the whole story of the Little Mermaid is absolutely, it's terrorizing. Like, I remember reading that as a child, and this was before there was any kind of movie version or anything. Reading that as a child and being taught that the sacrifice that she made, which involved her every step that she took, like daggers stabbing into her feet, just so she could go and like dance with this prince, being taught that that was like a worthy sacrifice, losing her voice, having her tongue cut out, like all this crazy, super brutal stuff. You see it very much in Hans Christian Andersen, where there is a sort of Christian moral that is thrown in at the end that was not necessarily always there, because these are tales that predate Christianity, or I shouldn't say they predate Christianity. They predate that form of Christianity being practiced in that part of the world. So the stories go back before that. So they change over time. And another example is the other, like, there's a couple stories that traumatized me as a child to the point where I have still been sort of exercising the demons with them. One is the Little Mermaid. I mean, I wrote a whole book about mermaids just to try and like work through the trauma of like the brutality of that story. But also the girl who trod on a loaf. That story has always haunted me. Do you know that one?
Which one?
It's called The Girl Who Trod on a Loaf.
No.
Okay, so the story is there's a little girl, I believe her name is Inger, and she is given this loaf of bread that she's supposed to bring to her grandparents. Well, Inger happened to get some nice new shoes recently. And so as she's walking along the path, carrying the bread to go to her grandparents' house, the path is muddy. And she reaches to this one part, which is kind of quite swampy, and she throws the loaf of bread down and steps on the loaf of bread so she doesn't get her shoes dirty. As soon as she steps on the loaf of bread, she sinks slowly down into the marsh and becomes basically suspended in the Marsh King's brewery, which is the still underground or underwater world of a marsh. Marshes are very still, like the water doesn't have a lot of movement. That's why they're kind of stagnant. And she's basically like totally frozen there. Like she's stuck there. Obviously, this is hey, you shouldn't step on bread. You shouldn't be so vain about your shoes that you literally trod on a loaf. That's a perfectly reasonable moral to impart on for anyone. You really shouldn't just waste food. It's a thing about vanity, all of that. Then at the very end, she's freed because a child of God like cries tears, and those hit Inger. And then eventually she like floats up to the surface and then becomes an angel or something like that. If you read that story, you can tell that ending was totally tacked on. It's just like, oh no, we need an angel in here. Somebody like, we got to free her and get an angel. But the story itself, it's very creepy, but also very beautiful, and has enough of a lesson in there. But I love that story. It's scary, and of course, it's always scary when you're the age of the child in the book. And so I think I was like Inger's age, and it's like, obviously, just don't step on bread. Like, that's what a wasteful thing to do. So it's a kind of a layered story. And of course, she ends up having this whole encounter with the Marsh King and his and the Queen, and she's kind of just in this state of suspended animation, which is very interesting, until eventually she's freed, but she doesn't come back to life or anything. I think they just turn her into an angel.
Well, that's nice of them.
Well, yeah,
Nice.
just throw that in because the kids were like traumatized or whatever.
Right.
But
right?
again, like there's just something the description. I mean, it's like straight out of a horror story. She steps on this loaf and she slowly sinks into the mire. And you just see this little girl just slowly sinking, in your imagination. As you said, when you're reading a book, you get that experience of playing the movie in your own mind as you're reading it. So it's pretty terrorizing. And to add to the ambiance, I'll just throw this in there. This time in my life, I was 7 or 8 years old, and we had moved from the San Francisco Bay Area up into the rural foothills of Northern California. And so we lived we basically camped out by this river until the weather turned and my parents had gotten this house, but the house, they still don't have electricity there. They have electricity, but it's off grid. And so we were reading these books by candlelight and by kerosene lamp. And we didn't have TV, didn't have a Walkman yet, so I didn't have my own radio. So that was actually, it sounds like Little House on the Prairie, and it was really only the 1980s, but that's what it was like. So that added to the atmosphere of it, just having candles going, and Dave.
Yes.
The most common time to tell ghost stories is actually around the holidays, more than any other time of the year. We always think of Halloween as the time when we are talking about ghosts, and we do. That's sort of the beginning of it. Excuse me. Talking too much. That's sort of the beginning of it, of kind of turning into that season of darkness. But there's a long-standing tradition of telling ghost stories around the, Yule log.
That is a difficult one. Here's one for you with 2 minutes to go before we have to go to break here. Varla Ventura is our guest. I never really knew this one, Varla. Okay. The Mary, Mary, Quite Contrary nursery rhyme apparently is a veiled critique of Mary the First of England, otherwise known as Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when she says, when the poem says, "How does your garden grow?" It's Bloody Mary growing her graveyards
with silver bells and cockle shells,
which are torture instruments, and pretty maids all in a row are the rows of execution victims. That is harsh.
That is brutal.
That is terrible.
Okay, so I don't know if I have time to get into this, but I had a Alice in Wonderland moment in the Highlands of Scotland. So we might I don't know if we have time for it, but I was at Culloden, the battlefield. How much time do we have?
You have 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Okay. I was at the Culloden battlefield in just outside of Inverness, Scotland. And we were on a tour, and the woman was kind of explaining to us how the symbol of the Jacobites, who were rebelling against the English government, was white rose. But if you were caught as a Jacobite, especially after the Culloden slaughter, you would be immediately executed. And so I turned to my friend and said, painting the roses red. Is that where Lewis Carroll came up with that idea of painting the roses red? Because the red rose was the Tudor rose. That was the symbol of England. The white rose was the Jacobite. And I got into it in my book a little bit in the rose section, because obviously Lewis Carroll was like 200 years. He wrote this book like 200 years after that battle. But at that time, that the battlefield had been recognized. It had been purchased by someone. And in the Victorian era, that's when they built the cairn and put all the clan stones there. So this would have been very much in Lewis Carroll's knowledge and lexicon of current events, as well as, there are other aspects of that that come into play. But anyway, that's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, you know what? I'm having fun with these nursery rhyme real meanings. We'll get into a few more. Varla Ventura, Our Cryptid World. VarlaVentura.net is her website. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, we're clear.
Okay.
We're going to take a quick break here.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Let me go like this. Put you in the green room, and I'll be right back. Be right back, everybody. Varley for hour 2 next. right, I am back. We got 1 minute to go. Thank you to T-Bone for literally gifting 10 memberships tonight. Appreciate that, T-Bone. Thank you to Nicole, number 1, Sun011, Area 54, and Kitty, as well as Mel WD40 for gifting a membership as well. Thank you, guys. Very much appreciate that. What great love. Absolute great love in this chat room. Thank you. Tim Mothman and your goatee. Hope you're having a good night. Let's bring Varla back in. Excuse me. Varla, nice to see you. We got great swag at our store, so make sure you check it out on our website.
Yeah, you got anything new on there? I haven't seen lately.
It's all new. Here we go, everybody.
All new.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. I do this radio show every night where we get into the weird and strange topics du jour, and we appreciate you tuning us on in for Varla Ventura's Our Cryptid World. Hey, we want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. We want to give a shout out to everybody listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on every major podcast network. Love having you all here. Website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. And what are we looking at tonight, Clam? Titanomachy. Titanomachy is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Now, let's go to Varla Ventura. You can find her website, varlaventura.net. Her books are in every major bookstore across North America and the world. Why? Because she is that talented and that incredible. Yes, Varla, you are. Yeah, I said it. You know what one of my favorite folklore is?
What's that?
Well, a number of years ago, this one's kind of recent. A number of years ago, there was a time when Americans would eat their great Thanksgiving dinner. They would huddle around their families, tell stories about the past, about the present, funny stories involving families, friends, the gatherings, the love. And then midnight would come. And people would line up at stores all across the United States for Black Friday. And literally, they would beat the tar out of each other at places like Best Buy, Walmart, Target, and any other chain store, trying to get a deal on toys, televisions, you name it, leading into Christmas. There was punching, there was kicking, there was fighting, there was brawls, and it was all in the name of family. I miss these days as an outsider from Canada looking in, wondering what happened in the years of yore to where we are today, where people are buying online.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
That's it. It's all online now. Black Friday is all online.
America, the one thing that us Canadians have learned about your beautiful country is you are all about history and tradition. You don't like change. You refer to your forefathers as some of the greatest people in history. They were smart, they were brave, they were intelligent, and they were willing to die for their cause. This is why Black Friday happens, America, is because it is tradition. It is something that we need to get back to. And I have faith in the United States people. I have faith that at midnight on Thanksgiving, you will go down to your box stores. You will be prepared with barbed wire around your legs. brass knuckles on your fingers, a gas mask on your face, ready to do what it takes to get your deals. Please do this. Please, when you are filming, if we could get back to nature, keep your phones horizontal, not vertical. So that way we get to see a little bit more. This is what I want. This is what I dream of. Just want those videos.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, this afternoon I was I don't know what it was. It was mid-morning, and I picked my son up from his friend's house, and then we went to the grocery store. And I was well aware that it's the day before Thanksgiving. And we were just going to pick out a few desserts for Thanksgiving dinner, and we were going to get coffee and stuff like that because this grocery store has a coffee shop in it. So that was our plan. And it's a lovely grocery store. It's a local, just kind of a smaller chain here. And they were very, very well staffed. And it was it was about 11 o'clock in the morning, so it wasn't too crowded. I made my son navigate the shopping cart. It's not a big store. And I think 7 different people ran into me, like flat tired me or just kind of ran their carts into me. I mean, it's not a big store, but it was just like, and it wasn't that crowded. It's just people were so like, gotta get my thing. So it was just a little bit of that. And I shop at that store all the time, and I love shopping there because it's like really pleasant and kind of on the, I don't know, people it's a little bit of like a small town kind of grocery store. So you don't have that feeling of waiting in line and trying to grab the last of this or the last of that. And no one was like shoving each other or anything. But you know what? I'll tell you something. You know what was the sparsest section? This is probably a problem with America in general. There's plenty of room in the produce section. You wanted to cruise over, you get some lettuce or some zucchini or something. That aisle was empty. There's plenty of room over there.
Does anybody eat zucchini anymore?
I love zucchini. Zucchini's fabulous. Yeah,
That's
zucchini.
the reason why there's nobody down that aisle.
Well, it's not really zucchini season. It's a bad example.
Oh.
No, people weren't getting their vegetables. Their vegetables. They were getting their like prepared turkeys and their pies and their whatever grocery list their partner had sent them to the store with. We survived it no problem because we weren't in a hurry, but I've never been physically run into in a grocery store before. Like literally, it was like, do you not see me? Like, what's happening?
It happens.
What's happening?
It totally happens.
Yeah. So but I've never gone out and gone shopping at those times. In fact, quite the opposite. I earlier in my life worked in retail and grocery stores and stuff around this time of year. So I know better than to shop there. You can go into the store on Wednesday evening before Thanksgiving and get all the stuff. That's for like the people who are the last minute invites and they have to bring a side. That's who goes to the grocery store like 10 o'clock at night on a Wednesday. But no, I've never been part of the Black Friday frenzy. I find it overwhelming. So I just, I can't like, I wouldn't be able to decide. And then I would just, what I would do is I'd put everything in my cart and then I would probably just abandon my cart. But we had some of that. I mean, did you have any of that stuff happening like to the pandemic? Like we had the freaking toilet paper crazy.
Oh yeah, it went stupid here.
Yeah. So same vibe, right? Of just like, get out of my way. I need to save money, or I need this for my family, or it's just like, okay. I'll use mullein.
Thank you. Use mullein. It works.
Mullein. It's nice, plush plant, soft, grows everywhere like a weed.
It is a weed.
Well, I think of it as a lovely plant, so I don't think of it as a weed. But I'm not on the West Coast anymore, so.
All right. Couple more nursery rhymes for you. Three Blind Mice was another dark Tudor era story. Apparently, three blind mice are said to represent the three Protestant nobles persecuted by Queen Mary. Their blindness refers to their refusal to abandon their faith. So she cut off their tails, symbolizing their execution. Now, knowing they didn't have tails, it makes me wonder what they actually cut off.
What do you mean? If they were executed, they cut off their heads.
Well, men don't have tails.
I'm sure she just. Oh yeah, maybe that was phase one to get him to talk. Get him to flip. Phase one.
Right. Yep.
No.
Yep. That would have been. Ooh, don't even like talking about that. Every man right now is cringing.
You brought it up.
Rockabye Baby.
Oh, yeah, that one's always struck me as odd because why would you put your. Yeah, it's terrible.
In the treetop. So apparently it's a critique of King James II and the fear his newborn son would break the bow or lose the throne. It's a cautionary tale about leaving babies unattended in tree cradle baskets used by early settlers as well.
Oh. Okay.
And then Baba Black Sheep was against medieval wool taxation.
Oh.
Yes. One for the master equals government or monarchy. One for the dame, which is the church or the land owner. None for the little boy, the farmers who did the work.
Right.
The rhyme reflects resentment towards oppressive feudal taxes.
Well, you can see that nursery rhymes that it was and often set to music. It was a way to like that was kind of the madrigal thing in the medieval times too, was that it was a way to critique without being accused of treason or right. You could kind of get away with it because it would be this catchy little rhyme that the people would kind of start singing and repeating or just teach it to the children and have them sing it. How did it get to that? Like you write this sort of this veiled critique and then somehow, centuries later, children are singing it while skipping rope. I mean, now that is, I mean, I would put that in the success category for getting your message. I mean, even if the message has been diluted, people are still saying it, right? We should all hope that our words are convoluted 200 years from now and they're misquoting us. At least they'll be quoting us.
Would you like a few more?
Sure.
Because I'm totally into this right now. How about Little Red Riding Hood?
You mean the story of Little Red Riding Hood?
Well, apparently the meaning is a warning for young girls about predatory men.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
The wolf is symbolic of the predator. The red hood equals sexual maturity and innocence targeted. Early versions were extremely gruesome, involving cannibalism and no woodcutter rescue.
Yeah.
Originally a tale to warn young girls about wolves in human clothing.
Yes. Well, can I tell you, every girl growing up knows that. You know when you're reading the story. You know it from a young age. You really do. But yes. Yeah, there's no happy ending with the original. Not at all.
No, not a nice one.
Granny doesn't make it. Spoiler alert.
Right?
Granny doesn't make it.
No. There's a whole new meaning to being eaten by the big bad wolf.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right?
True.
Ugh. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. All right, let's get to another one here. Hansel and Gretel.
Love that story. I think the witch gets a bad rap in that.
Well, it's
I
based
do. Okay, go ahead.
it's based on real famine era child abandonment in
Yes.
medieval Europe.
And actually, Dave, that is not the only story where that happens. It happens again and again and again in several old fairy tales where one of the children often it's one of the children who's led astray and sort of just like left out in the woods because the family can't afford to feed them. But yeah, well, the base of that story, right, is that it's kind of got that classic, the two stepchildren, right? It's the stepmother that convinces the father that they can't feed them, they're starving, and then we can't feed them, and so she convinces him to leave them out in the woods, and he finally does it, but they figure out a way. The first time they figure out a way back or whatever. So but then, the witch has just got all this just like all these yummy snacks. But I do think she gets a little bit of a bad rap there. I mean, witches always do.
Well, there might be a reason for that, and you may be on the wrong side of the ledger on that one.
Well, I don't care.
I know.
I like it over here.
I know.
It's more fun.
All right, here's another one. Rumpelstiltskin.
Oh, I love that story.
Oh, pardon me. Let me finish Hansel and Gretel first. Okay. Poor families often abandon their children to reduce the mouths to feed, and the witch may represent starving, desperate outsiders driven mad by hunger.
Mhm.
The gingerbread house symbolizes temptation in times of starvation.
Yeah, almost like a mirage, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. Let's move on to Rumpelstiltskin, shall we?
Yes, I love that story. I have that story in my fairy book.
It's a warning about giving your name to supernatural beings.
Mm.
In folklore, knowing someone's true name grants power over them. This tale teaches never make deals with the fae or spirit and never give them your name. It's a great tie into the cryptid portal lore, especially forest entities. I want you to go deep on this one.
Yeah, okay, so I actually am not I don't think that that's entirely correct because in the story the supernatural being is Rumpelstiltskin, and that's whose name the princess is after. So her name isn't given to a supernatural being. She's beholden to him because he comes in and says, I can help you with this impossible task. Basically, she's given this impossible task. I can't remember how she gets stuck agreeing to it, but essentially this king is like, well, you can marry my son if you or marry me if you can spin all of this straw into gold, or I'll kill you in the morning. And so she goes into this room with all of this straw, and I think actually a parent lies or something and says, oh, well, my daughter she's amazing, she has all these powers, she can spin straw into gold. So they call her on it, lock her up in this room, and she starts to cry because, of course, she has no agency and it wasn't her idea. And she's stuck in this room. So she starts to cry, and this little creature appears, Rumpelstiltskin. He's sort of like a little, pixie type character. And he says, well, I can do it for you, but you have to give me something. And so she gives him like a necklace that she has. Successfully, he completes that. She falls asleep. He completes the task. The next morning, there's a pile of gold where the straw once was, and the king is not satisfied. He sees that she spun the straw into gold, and he decides to give her a larger pile of straw, and says, "Okay, fine. We'll marry if you can do this pile." Same thing happens. She cries and cries. And ultimately, Rumpelstiltskin appears again, and he spins the straw into gold for her once she gives him a ring. Well, the third night, the same thing happens, 3 times as much straw, and she's nothing left to give. She's got no jewelry. She's got nothing to give. So he says, this is very much like what happens in Rapunzel as well. He says, well, just give me your firstborn child. Okay, sure. I'll give you anything because they're going to kill me anyway. So what difference does it make? So she agrees to this. He spins the straw into gold. She marries the king. She gets pregnant. Rumpelstiltskin comes to collect. And she says, oh, please don't take my baby. Don't take my baby. And so he says, all right, if you can guess my name, I'll give you 3 guesses, 1 each night. If you can guess my name before the end of the 3rd night, I will not take your baby. And of course, he knows he has this like really strange name. No one's ever going to guess it. So she sends everybody out to all the corners of the land. Everybody's listening and trying to figure out what this name could possibly be. And she lists off all of these names, and they're wrong. Second night, same thing. Lists off all the names. They're wrong. Third night, turns out one of the knights is way, way up in the hills, and he happens to hear this little impish character dancing around the fire, laughing and saying, she'll never guess my name is Rumpelstiltskin. There's actually like a lovely nursery rhyme. I might have it in my book that he chants. And so the knight goes rushing back to the palace, tells the princess, she guesses the name, and she's freed. So actually, in this case, the name is her knowing the name of the supernatural being versus it having any power over her. But the moral of the story is, and she was in an impossible situation, at least the way the story reads. It's really kind of that you see that same idea repeated in any kind of bargain story with any of the fairies, or later with the devil. It'll be the same kind of story where, eventually the devil comes to collect. So there's like the legend of Jack-o'-lantern, Stingy Jack, same thing, where this guy outsmarts the devil 2 or 3 times. And then eventually he ends up, basically what happens is, the devil keeps trying to collect on this guy, and he outsmarts the devil. And then the devil says, well, I'm going to come back in 5 years. And if you're dead in 5 years, you're going to end up in hell or whatever. So he manages to like scare the devil up this tree, and he puts a symbol on the tree, and then he basically bargains with the devil. Well, ultimately, when the devil agrees to his terms, the guy goes on, his name is Jack, he goes on, he lives his life, and then he dies, and he goes up to the gates of heaven, and basically St. Peter is like, no, you can't come in here. So he goes down to hell, and the devil says, hell no, you can't be here.
Varla Ventura, we got her till the top of the hour on Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back.
Listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Turned out to be a fun show.
Yeah. Good topic. So Have you like announced Vegas or?
Yeah. We just
Oh,
don't know
cool.
where yet.
Well, it's Vegas. You just don't know what like
We know it's
venue.
Vegas. We just don't know where yet.
What'd you guys do last year?
We went to Vegas and we made the mistake of allowing Merle to choose the hotel.
What did he pick?
He picked, I think the average age in that hotel was probably
Did he pick the
72 years.
haunted one down the street? What?
No. Oh, this one was definitely haunted. What the hell was it called? Somebody in the chat room help me out. Not Queens. What the hell was it called?
Was it in downtown?
It was like a Spanish theme. It was a couple. He's like, it's only a couple blocks off the strip. Yeah, no problem.
So it wasn't in downtown then.
It was right by, like, across the highway from downtown, kind of in the Rio area.
Okay.
What the hell was it called?
I was just wondering. The only reason I was asking that is because one of the nights, whatever that was, what was that? 2 years ago, when I was there, Merle and I went walking down the main street there in downtown to go to this hotel that was supposed to be totally haunted, and we both had like this really weird feeling in this hall, and it was, but I can't remember the name of the hotel.
Wasn't that Binions that you were at?
I could actually tell you because I can look on Instagram.
You like that Instagram stuff.
Yes, I find it the least irritating of all the social medias.
See, and I find it totally irritating.
I think it's the least irritating. There's not as much space for text. So, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't really. There's only so many social medias I can tolerate. Okay, so wait. Here's the hotel, El Cortez. That's where Merle and I went. The El Cortez.
Yeah, I'd like to go there.
We should go there just for fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'd stay there, but I don't think it's the vibe that you're looking for. Your sister-in-law was like, don't go there. I remember that. She was like, why are you going there? And Merle and I are like, it's haunted. God, remember that? And he had like just gotten out of the hospital and like barely even made it. That was wild that he was even able to go. So anyway, we're not staying. Merle's not in charge of that.
No. What the hell was I cannot remember for the life of me what it was called.
So are you thinking strip or?
Yeah, probably. You know where I'd like to stay again? It's not very highly rated, but I just have a soft spot for it. I love the Luxor.
My friend is at the Luxor right now, and she freaking got a room for like $33.
Oh.
I mean, it's Thanksgiving, so it's like very, very much low season in Vegas, right? On like the night before Thanksgiving. But she got a gorgeous room for $33.
Right?
Yeah, that would be fun. It's just, yeah, that's a fun area.
Hold on, I'm checking the hotel here. What the hell was it?
Oh, where you stayed last time?
Yeah. Oh God, this doesn't even have it. Hold on, let's go to this map. The Orleans.
Okay. Is it like an old school hotel? I don't.
Yeah, it's old school everything, including the clientele.
Got it. Right. So
the only thing
it's
all you have to know about,
like old Vegas style.
About the Orleans is that anybody under 30 is a prostitute.
Oh. Okay.
It was that bad.
Yeah. It's just not that fun.
All right, coming back in 12 seconds. Thank you to T-Bone for a plethora of gifted memberships. Mel WD40 again for a membership. Kitty Caddywhack. Nicole Sackich, Sun and Area 54. Here we go. Second half of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. We greatly appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Yes, we want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. She's Varla Ventura. I'm Dave Scott. This is our cryptid world, where Varla graces us with the talk of monsters, legends, and folklore. Her books can be found at any major bookstore. And you know what? You can also check out her website, varlaventura.net. Varla, got one for you here. Snow White, as we go through the real meanings behind some very interesting stories. Now, they believe Snow White may have been possibly linked to real events from the 16th century in Germany, based on Margaretha von Waldeck, poisoned by her stepmother. Dwarves connected to child laborers working in mines. Beauty, jealousy, and royal politics collide into violent origin. How cool is that?
So, very cool. Very cool. Actually, Snow White makes an appearance in my Enchanted Plants book. One of the biggest differences that people don't know about Snow White is we are taught, thanks to Walt Disney, that Snow White, who's in this death-like stupor, is awakened by true love's kiss. This is the thing, you know. Prince Charming leans in, he kisses her, she wakes up, falls in love with him, they live happily ever after. That's not at all what happens, actually. And the dwarves, I don't disagree with that analysis, but the dwarves to me also, I feel like they are representative of kind of guardians. Like they're kind of playing this role of guardianship over her. And people have made a lot of jokes about, living with the 7 little men and all that kind of stuff. But really, they were kind of supernatural beings that were looking out for her. And the reason that she was buried in the glass coffin is because they couldn't bear to put her in the ground. So this prince comes along, he's just lost in the woods or whatever one day. And he comes along and he sees this incredibly beautiful woman laid out in this coffin. And he sees the dwarves around her, keeping vigil. And he asks what happened. And they sort of explain that she was poisoned and they just can't bear to put her in the ground. They love her so much. So if we give the prince the benefit of the doubt at this point in the story, we place him in the role of, well, let me take her back to my kingdom where I can possibly cure her. That's the benefit of the doubt version. The other version is that he is so consumed with love and lust for her that he convinces the dwarves to let him take the coffin back with him to his kingdom. And they protest. They're no, we can't let her go. And he finally eventually convinces them, that he's sincere and he just wants to take care of her. And when he goes to lift the coffin up to attach it to the back of his horse, to the cart on the back of his horse, he dislodges, in that process, it dislodges the apple, the poison apple that's stuck in her throat, and she wakes up. And she says, "Where am I?" And he says, "Oh, don't worry, you're quite safe with me." And they lived happily ever after.
Happily ever after.
Yeah. Oh God. Do you want to hear the creepiest one?
Sure.
The creepiest one is Sleeping Beauty. The alternative version to Sleeping Beauty. And this is the part that's really creepy. So, and I learned this through studying the plant lore, and specifically studying the plant henbane, which is a plant that is highly toxic. It's a weed that grows all over the place. It grows all over the United States. It grows all over North America. It grows all over. It's native to I think it's native to the Mediterranean, but it grows all over Europe. Extremely toxic. It's called henbane because hens eat it and they die. Cows eat it and they die. In fact, the only animal that can eat it and not die is a pig. So anyway, the story, there's been a lot of speculation about what it was that put Sleeping Beauty into this 100-year sleep, into the stupor, right? Because we know it's a curse and the evil fairy witch puts it on her, etc. So one of the theories is that when she pricks her finger on the spindle, that it actually there's a henbane seed is sitting on that, and the henbane seed lodges underneath her nail, and that would be enough, really, to kind of that would be enough to tox you out. Maybe not enough to tox you out for 100 years, but it's whatever. It's fairy tale. So she gets knocked out, and then the other fairies put the whole kingdom, or the whole, kind of enclosed within the castle walls. All of the people are put to sleep so that she's not just asleep alone. And that's the only thing they can do. They can't reverse the curse. So there's this legend of this incredibly beautiful woman, again, asleep in this castle in a death-like stupor. And the men are clamoring to get to her. And so much so that they're dying in the process. The brambles around the outside of this castle that have been growing for years and years are littered with the bones of princes and their horses. Eventually, one guy finally determinedly gets through. And when he sees her, he is just overcome with lust, and he immediately sleeps with her, even though she is completely knocked out. Okay, he returns 2 more times, does it 2 more times. And guess what happens? She gets pregnant. And when she has the baby, this is just one of those slightly unrealistic fairy tale summaries. The baby crawls up and starts to suckle on her finger. And when it does that, it dislodges the henbane and she wakes up. So it's not a true love's kiss at all, is it? It's non-consensual, non-consensual suckling.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's really gross. It's really and it's actually a version from before, actually in the original Grimm Brothers version. I think that is one of the original versions. People don't realize this, but there are multiple retellings, both by the Grimm Brothers and the translations. And some of them are a little softer than others. But yeah, that's the worst one.
Yeah.
That is pretty bad. Yeah.
Pretty
yeah,
bad.
I know. It just ruins Sleeping Beauty for you, doesn't it?
The Pied Piper of Hamelin.
Ooh.
Rooted in historical tragedy, the children of Hamelin likely represented a mass migration, kidnapping, or dance plague deaths. Piper equals recruiter, slaver, or supernatural figure. The town's carving from 1284 describes the disappearance as literal fact.
Interesting. Yeah. I always thought that one was particularly creepy about this. All the children following him out of the village was just
The
Nope.
legend of Sleepy Hollow was a blend of German folklore and early American politics. The headless horseman is inspired by the German tale of a decapitated horse riding revenant, Hessian mercenaries who died in battle. It's a ghost story born from immigration, war trauma, and frontier superstition.
So the headless horseman part, I just want to add something to that. In Irish folklore, frequently with the puka, there's there's the puka is a shape-shifting trickster fairy, and it often appears in the shape of like a rabbit or a horse. And the horse is sometimes depicted as like this completely all black horse with like glowing red eyes. And there's another legend that puts the horse into this carrot, like drawing this carriage, and it's sort of like an omen of death. So I do think that Washington Irving, being a contemporary, whatever, he wrote that in, I think, the late 1800s. These legends all kind of fed it, much like so many different legends fed Bram Stoker's Dracula that gives us like the Dracula today. So there's actually some Irish lore behind that headless horseman. And I don't know about the politics and stuff. Like, sure, why not? I mean, it's a political time. I don't really know colonial era politics that well. They're just in there like.
Let's go to Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Originally a story about breaking into someone's home, the earliest version didn't feature a girl. It was an old criminal woman stealing from the bears. The themes of trespassing, justice, and consequence, the morals shifted over centuries to soften it for children.
Well, I wonder how that first one ended, because it seems like it ended fine. And the one that, see, I just always thought it was a story about being particular. A cautionary tale about being particular. It's like, oh, nothing's good enough for you. You should just eat your gruel. Eat your gruel. Eat the gruel that's put in front of you. And don't complain, sit in the chair you're given. That's kind of how I always took it. I had no idea that there was once an older woman, but I mean, that completely makes sense, because time and time again, at the center of these stories, you have three things. You have a hag of some kind who is a criminal or a witch or an evil stepmother. You have an innocent maiden or a child-like maiden that has basically no autonomy, like no say. And then you have some kind of savior who is frequently a male that comes in. I mean, that's like pretty much every fairy tale has those three things. But when you look at folklore, totally the opposite. That's not the case at all. In fact, most old folk stories, you look at like the old Irish folk stories, the old Irish fairy tales. God, there's this one really horrifying one about this man who has a big old like growth on his back, and he goes down. It takes him a long time to get anywhere. And so he happens to pass by this fairy stone cropping around midnight on a full moon, and he hears this beautiful, beautiful music. And so he goes down and he sits in the stone cropping, and he kind of just starts singing along. And the fairies all come out and they surround him and they start dancing with him. And they're just totally taken by how well he keeps tempo with the music and how beautiful his voice is. And by the end of the night, after dancing round and round and round the circle, when he kind of like wakes up at the end in the morning, his hunchback is gone.
Oh,
and
wow.
and so he goes home, and his mother's thrilled, he's thrilled. And so the word gets around that this guy lost his hump. And so a woman comes to him and says, my son has the same ailment that you had. Tell me what to do. And I'm going to tell him exactly what to do. And so this guy, his name is Lusmore, which, by the way, is the Irish word for digitalis. And this guy always keeps a little sprig of digitalis in his cap, and that's why everyone calls him that. So he tells her, you go down to this stone and you listen for the music. And once the music starts, you kind of start to sing along. And then, the fairies just start dancing around you. So she goes back and she tells her son all of this. And he does that. He goes down to the spot at the next full moon, and he waits and he waits and he waits. And he's just very impatient. He's not hearing the music. They're not singing, they're not dancing. And so he just starts to just make some music and complain. And the fairies get extremely offended. And so they too dance with him all through the night, all around in a circle, again and again and again, making music. But when he wakes up in the morning, he has 2 humps on his back. And eventually he just dies from the burden, within a couple of months. Moral of that story is, don't be impatient. Like, if you're on fairy time, you're on fairy time. Don't mess with it. You will suffer the consequences. So many stories are like that, where there's this one really scary one where the guy actually, you're not supposed to be out past midnight, and he's out past midnight, and he literally sees a group of small figurines carrying a corpse, just ambling down the road in the moonlight, carrying a corpse. And because they encounter him, he now has to help them. And so he has to carry the corpse to the next graveyard, and then they make him dig the hole, and the corpse totally starts talking to him. I mean, it's just like absolutely terrifying. Worst case scenario. And, moral of the story is, we told you not to go out past midnight into the fairy territory. That's their time, not yours. You will get stuck carrying a corpse.
Right.
So great.
Let's go to another one. London Bridge. Possible reference to the falling down is repeated attacks, structure fires, and structural failures of the bridge across the centuries. Some theories say the verse refers to Viking raids, child sacrifice myths used as foundation offerings, and corruption and decay in medieval infrastructure.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think also, just like, it represented this very, like, that bridge represented this is a source of power. London was the seat of power, for all of this time when they were trying to take the northern lands, and they're trying to take Scotland, they're trying to take Wales, they're trying to just trying to spread their territory, take over Ireland. And so London was like the seat of power, and that bridge was so symbolic for that. And so many people wanted it to burn.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It is something that, just shows that history continues the way it is. Let's go to another one.
Yeah.
Boy Who Cried Wolf. Remember this story? The boy.
Yeah.
Who cried wolf?
Yeah.
Apparently, it's not just about lying. It's about societal collapse.
Oh, all right.
Apparently, once trust is broken, even real danger goes ignored. In ancient villages, wolf attacks meant famine and death for livestock. This tale was survival guidance disguised as children's wisdom.
I don't know how great of guidance that was.
Me either.
Like, Okay. Let's think about that. Okay. So like, yeah, saying that there was a wolf when there wasn't one. I mean, right. We think that's bad because no one's going to believe you when it actually happens. It's so interesting because that's such an iconic story for how we operate in society. Like we just, oh, don't cry wolf
Right.
if you don't really have a problem, because it ruins it for everyone else when there really is a problem, or no one will believe you when there is a problem. But it does. Okay. So I just want to mention this very interesting. I know we talked a lot about werewolves last time I was on the show, but there's this guy who was a reverend who wrote this massive volume on werewolves. And one of the Sabine Baring Gould, and one of the things that he talks about is that people, especially people who are like sort of already like weak, he would say like weak-minded and cruel at their core, will transform to be whatever the like most evil monster around them is. And so during medieval times, that was a wolf. And that's why the uptick and like werewolf legends really goes up throughout that period of time, because the not only was the belief in, and then the belief in werewolves already existed, but it was sort of became a little bit of a craze during that time. And he just talks about this idea that like today you might transform into something else, like whatever you think might be the most evil thing around you, or the cruelest animal around you. But at the time and for centuries, it was the wolf. And so that's why the werewolf became sort of the scapegoat. I don't even want to use that word because it's a whole other thing. But, because everybody blames the devil. That's where scapegoat comes from. But anyway, so that's just like again, just talking about like, of course, wolves are predators and they were a threat. But the idea of like this boy saying that like there was a wolf among them when there wasn't, kind of just brings this whole idea of people accusing others of being werewolves when they weren't. It was kind of like if you could be accused of being a witch, you could be accused of being a vampire, you could be accused of being a werewolf, and the consequences were all the same. You weren't really accused of being too many other things, that maybe like a fairy creature or whatever. But if you were one of those three things, the consequences were death. You were, no fair trial. You just were executed in some fashion, usually like burned, sometimes drowned.
We only have about a minute left. I just want to maybe sneak in one more.
Yeah, sneak in one more. Stop
Sneak
me.
in one more. The Sandman.
Oh,
Before he became a gentle dream figure, the Sandman was a night demon. He would take children who stayed awake too long, steal their eyes, sand equals dried blood in the corners, and carry them to the realm of sleep, which was considered a temporary death. He was a psychopomp, a guide between two worlds.
I mean, that to me feels like a parent who is, you've been there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Go to
And
sleep.
it was always the nights when you wanted to have fun with your friends at your place.
Or not even that, but just like the nights before they have a big event the next day, like
Yes.
a game in the morning or
I hear
a
ya.
test in the morning.
Varla
Yeah.
Ventura.net is her website. Varla, we will talk to you next month, my dear.
Lovely. Thank you so much.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Thank
Katie
you.
Page and Rocky Mountain Ranch Research is next on The Encounters.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear. Varley, you are amazing.
I'm looking up the Luxor right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll make it happen.
Yeah, let's stay here.
Okay.
Yeah.
just for you.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll talk
Ooh,
to you soon.
Black Friday sale.
I know.
Just saying.
Go
Mhm.
get her. I'll see you.
Bye.
Bye. Varla Ventura, everybody. I'll be right back. All right. Let's bring in the awesome, the amazing Katie Page. Look at her. Look how beautiful she is.
Aw. Hey, Dave.
How are you?
Well, I'm pretty fantastic. You know why? I started key lime pie and a cup of coffee. Nothing like key lime pie and a cup of coffee at midnight.
Nice. Good for you.
I know. Marie
Rose
Callender's
Jim
does it
makeup,
every
are you?
time. I always say I'm gonna be good. I'm not gonna overdo it. Holiday, whatever, and then everything goes on sale. So they have the Marie Callender pies for like $3.97. How can you resist? You can't.
You can't.
You can't.
You can't.
Can't pass up a good deal. How are you, Dave?
Well, I'm happy that we're back on YouTube.
I saw that
Yeah, I
pointy
was.
stick. I thought you were going to be off for a week, so I'm happy that you're back.
So did I. So did I. This
We're-
came as a shock tonight.
Oh, good.
Thurston Howell III, how are you? Thank you to T-Bone tonight for gifting 10 memberships. Mel gifted 1. Our super chatters, Area 54, Sun011, Kitty Caddywhack, and number 1, Nicole. Thank you for your love. I got a bunch of new swag up for you at spacedoutradio.com. Make sure you check it on out. It is freaking amazing. Absolutely amazing. I'm not gonna lie. I outdid myself. I did. I outdid myself. So make sure you check that on out. And we are coming back in like 7 seconds. Here we go. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. I am so glad to be able to have this show on the air for you, for all you fellow weirdos out there who love the spooky, scary stuff each and every night. We have Swamp Dweller and Katie Page coming up momentarily. But first, I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. And what does the clam have for us tonight? Well, let's tell you. It is Titanomachy. Titanomachy is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp.
I was stationed at Beale Air Force Base in California, and they still have some of the old prisoner of war cell blocks standing as a historical monument. I still don't know why, but I decided to go out there at night to see what it was like since I had never been out there before, and it was open to whoever was on base. As I walked closer to the cell blocks, it's like the air got heavier. Once I reached the cell area and stood at the doorway looking down the hall, the silence was incredible and felt as if I was just being stared down. The longer I just stood there, it felt that more and more people were staring at me over time. The base is majorly haunted, at least in my opinion. I worked in comm, and sometimes we had to work overnight. The two biggest things that stood out to me from when I would be in the building after dark was that the IT area was right next to the data center. During the day, you wouldn't hear anything, but as soon as night fell, you could hear what sounded like someone stomping around, and even at times, like someone or something was hitting the walls. Another night, my wife came and visited me and dropped off some food while I was doing network updates. While she was there, I went to use the restroom. As soon as I got back, she was super angry with me and kept telling me it wasn't funny and I was an a-hole. After some poking and prodding, she told me that as soon as I left the room, it felt that someone was standing behind her, and she could feel their warm breath on the back of her neck. It's also important that the doorway to leave my office had to make a left to go to the restroom, and that she swore that not a second later, after I made that left down the hall, someone kept sprinting back and forth from the left to the right, but would only do it when she wasn't directly looking at the hallway. And here's the last one. We lived on base in the newer house. It was a nice new townhouse. Our family and stuff got to live there as well. Our child had the room right at the top of the stairs. This is important because I moved in first while waiting for my family and stuff to get there. During this time, I had our dog and cat with me at night, and they would both sit at the bottom of the stairs and just look up at the top of the stairs like someone was standing there. Then, the first night my wife and kids were moved in, there was this weird feeling that when you were coming back from the kitchen area, they would stare at you, just like there was a man. Another weird thing that happened that same night is that my wife came around that same corner and swears she saw a man at the top of the stairs and asked me who that man was. This moved on to her hating to be alone in her room, and she would always get up in the middle of the night and come sleep with us. She would always say that there was a man in her room watching her sleep. Even during the day when she would be in her room, she would hear that there was like a full conversation going on. Sometimes my wife would pass by her room, and it would sound like she was having a conversation with a full-blown person. There was nothing even playing on TV or anything. The final thing I'd like to mention is that a lot of things would randomly go missing and show up in the strangest places after we would spend days looking for them. We still don't have an explanation for any of this. It still happens to this day. Let me know if you guys know anything, but I definitely do think this Air Force base is haunted.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another spooky story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell, and you get more. It's more. Thousands of stories for you just like that. It's time for Katie Page. Let's bring in the encounters. All right, Katie Page from Rocky Mountain Ranch Research. It's nice to have you back. How are you?
Good. That is a tongue twister, isn't it? I like that Swamp Dweller tonight. That was a good one.
It was a good one.
Creepy.
It was a very good one. What I love about him, he's always changing. You know, it's always a different theme.
Yeah.
And it's always good. Always good. I fall asleep to him every night. I do. I like
Do
to be
you?
freaked out. Yeah. Yeah. Let him play all night long.
Huh, I'll have to give that a try.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Instead of the Tibetan singing bowls.
Yes.
Put that on.
Yeah, no kidding. I did something today that's pretty awesome.
What did you do?
I ordered my son's big Christmas gift this year.
Oh, nice. You can't say what it is.
Well, I can because he doesn't watch the show. You know, he's only 12. He's not into this stuff yet. You know, even though he's seen Bigfoot and seen ghosts. But I got him something today that I think is really cool. And I now have to wait for it to get here. It's on order. I bought him a megalodon tooth.
Oh.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah. It's almost 5 inches long.
Oh.
And like 2 3/4 inches, 3 inches wide. Like it's a big tooth.
It's a lucky tooth. That's
Yeah.
something you can have and hold on to forever. I like that. It's very
Well,
original.
He's really into dinosaurs. He's always been into dinosaurs, right? And he loves megalodon and all the big sharks and like I remember when he was like 3 years old, maybe 3 or 4. He's 12 now. And he comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, Daddy, did you know that the Donkleosteus could kill a megalodon?" And I'm like, "What the hell is a Donkleosteus?" And I had to look it up. It was like a fish with like a giant like 60-foot fish with like armored plating on it.
Wow.
Yeah. Scary as anything. I'm like, you're like 3-4 years old. How do you know what a Donkleosteus is? Right?
Do you believe in reincarnation?
Yeah. So I got the tooth. It's coming from North Carolina.
Oh, what a strange place for it to come from.
Well, North Carolina actually has a very large amount of megalodon teeth.
Really?
Yeah.
You
Like,
learn something new on Spaced Out Radio every night.
if you go near the ocean, and apparently there's a lot of creek beds that you can walk through. And if you scour those creek beds and the sides of the creek beds, those were once part of the ocean because it was warm water. And that's where megalodon apparently had a breeding area.
Huh.
So it's all up and down the East Coast from Canada, right down the East Coast into the Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America, whatever you prefer. Right. And yeah, so it's funny because it cost me, after exchange, it cost me, about $212 Canadian.
Oh,
So this is his big gift this year.
wow.
Okay.
Better hang on to
I,
that.
I don't normally spend that kind of money on gifts because it's just Christmas can get expensive.
Mhm.
But I also know that, because of this, he ain't getting much else. Let me tell you that.
That's great. How
Yeah.
cool is that?
Yeah. According to the people in our chat room, the Potomac River has a very vast amount of megalodon teeth.
All right.
Yeah. I don't know
Interesting.
if you want to swim in the Potomac, but, bull sharks and all.
Right.
Not me. Not me. How's
Well,
the UFO world?
what?
How's your UFO world?
It's busy as ever. Going good. But I don't know what you're doing to me, Dave, because every week now, I'm going through the alphabet, looking at these more obscure cases, and every week there's a case that kind of blows my mind, and I'm like, oh, now I got to dig deeper on some of these cases. So it's really fun. This week we are on F, so we're going to Florida.
Nice.
And interestingly enough, one of the first couple cases that came up for Florida were out of Weeki Wachee. And I'm like, wow, that sounds familiar. And you know why? Because a Weeki Wachee Florida case came up in the Snippy book. And we'll kind of, it's actually, there's been a couple, well, 3 different Weeki Wachee Florida. The first one is from 1957, and it's the strange hieroglyphics incident case. And again, the year's 1957, a witness near Weeki Wachee Springs reported seeing a strange flying machine that left behind sheets of thin tissue-like paper covered in unknown hieroglyphics. And this was like the style of writing. The Air Force reportedly interpreted part of the writing, and it was a strange message calling a space traveler home, like ET phone home, but in hieroglyphics.
Oh,
Strange.
wow.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Okay, I haven't heard of that before. Then in 1965, also in Weeki Wachee, maybe I'm saying that wrong, Weeki Wachee, the robot encounter, retired longshoreman John Reeves. Now, this is the one that ended up in the Snippy book, and there's actually a picture of this case of the indentation, which kind of looks like some of the indentations around the Chico brush of Snippy, and down below the ground there were these burnt grass roots, which is why it ended up in here. But it said that this John Reeves came across a landed flying saucer about 25 feet across, 5 foot a 5 foot tall figure in a silver suit with a glass dome over its head stepped out. It moved stiffly, pointed a circular device at him that flashed, and then he returned to the craft, which took off with a whistle. But there was physical evidence in that particular case, which was the burned grass roots underneath, the burned grass, and the hole that's in here. So that's kind of cool. And then also, while that's going on, another witness also claimed to see a humanoid being on his property. It was, of course, I believe this area of Florida is on the west side on the coast, like halfway up the state, I believe is where this is located. But this guy sees 2 humanoid beings on his property. APRO and the Air Force personnel investigated it. and they were given lie detector tests and everything. So that case was taken pretty seriously. So that's an interesting one. I also found it interesting that many cases come up. I only included one here from 1967, but I didn't realize there were cases of cryptids and like Sasquatch creatures in Florida. This one was in Port Richey, and it was called the Hairy One and the Dog Attack. So a woman reported seeing a large hairy creature in her backyard. The next day, a dog that chased it came back severely injured, and strange tracks were found and casted. So, did you know that?
There's a lot in the Florida swamps.
Okay. I thought I always kind of just imagined that they were more like the long-haired, swampy, not your traditional like Rocky Mountain Bigfoot, but maybe that's just my.
I think with Bigfoot, there's a bunch of different subspecies of it.
Okay.
Maybe have the same type of DNA, but due to their environment, they're a lot more aggressive, maybe smaller as well. Like the Pacific Northwest through Colorado is more of a bigger, docile creature. Usually no neck, just these big muscular shoulders and the conical shape head. Whereas if you go down to like the bayous of Louisiana right through to Florida, they seem to be more of a 6 to 7 foot creature that's very stocky but very aggressive.
Different colors too, right? From the white, gray, black, brown, red haired, some longer haired, some shorter haired. I just pulled out the recent drawings from Bob Solis that was, he had sent this to me in an email about the two different types, one at Rocky Mountain Ranch and what up there in Malmstrom in Montana. And they're kind of like more like their hair isn't all that thick. It's like they're balding or something. And they were kind of like more gray haired. So it's interesting how they vary like that. But when I think of Bigfoot, I don't think of Florida very often. So it kind of was surprising to me. And in this particular case here next, this was in the 1970s. They were having again, I don't think of cattle mutilations in Florida. But apparently there were many cattle mutilations in Florida. And on a couple of these reports reported in the 1970s, they were finding these large 3-toed cryptid tracks near the mutilated animals. What's that all about? Have you heard of that before? 3-toed tracks?
I've heard of the 3-toed tracks. I even have one on my phone.
You do?
From
one of your investigations?
Yes.
I mean, when I think of 3-toed tracks and like that strange track that was found around Snippy's carcass as well, which doesn't look like a Bigfoot track at all. And there's just two of them that kind of sit down. And when I think of the 3-toed tracks, I wonder if it could be a cryptid bird, like with the 3, like a talon. Could that be? And then I also find it interesting that more and more, the more I'm paying attention, I guess it's like anything. When you put your attention to something, you notice it more. But I'm noticing, I always kind of notice like the orb or UFO sightings with mutilated animals. Oh yeah, look at that 3-toed. That almost looks like some sort of prehistoric animal right there. Small. Right. Yeah, that's wild. But I'm noticing now more cryptid like prints and sightings alongside the animal mutilations, which is fascinating because the Bigfoot sightings on Rocky Mountain Ranch in connection with the UFO orb sightings, I've always kind of thought, well, maybe they're connected to the animal mutilations like a Sasquatch creature because they're so large and, cattle are so large and these animals are large. But I never really connected the cryptids with the animal mutilations until just recently, and it's popping up over and over and over again. But here's the one that got me, Dave. This is the one I'm like, I really want to look more into this case. And right before I came on the show, I was watching the very few things I can find on YouTube about the 1967, again, 1967, the year of Snippy. This was a mass sighting in Florida called the Crestview Elementary UFO sighting. So this happened over 2 days, April 7th and 8th, or April 6th and 7th, one of the two, the students and teachers were seeing this a large disc on the one day. The second day, the disc comes back, and there's two other objects near it that are like oblong shaped objects that were connected to the craft. But we had multiple teachers see this, multiple students see this. And I'm like, why have I not heard of this before? And what's fascinating too about it, while these children are watching this pretty close, that they think, I mean, it was only like 200 yards away. It was right there. It like went into the trees and vanished. It's like the trees absorbed the craft, and then it comes back and then just shoots off again. So I like want to see if I can find newspaper articles about this sighting with so many witnesses to this. And now these kids are all grown up. They're older. You'd think they'd be curious about it. I want to know more about this case. Have you ever heard of it before? The Crestview Elementary UFO sighting? Anybody?
I think I may have heard it through Preston Dennett.
Oh, that could be.
But give us, because he did an entire book on schools and UFOs.
Right. Yeah. Preston has a book on everything, and I need to get that one. I don't have that particular one, but I'm really curious about that because I love mass sighting cases, and I like, cases with school children and that, because there's more than you think. So that's a book I'll have to pick up to get on there. Anyway, okay. So one more here, the Brooksville Sandman. Brooksville became known for sightings of large, smelly, ape-like creatures called Sandman. Mr. Sandman. Okay, the area also had reports of glowing spheres, cigar-shaped craft, and even claims of people being injured by high-pitched sound, that's interesting, from hostile saucers. Some speculated about an underground UFO base connected to nearby caves and lakes. So again, that's 70s into the 80s. And then again, another underwater, underseas case. And this is, I think like many people do, that we don't know what's hiding under our oceans and caverns. And certainly with these lights on both our coasts that are seen, makes you wonder. But William and Barbara Reynolds reported repeated abductions by humanoids with long necks, large eyes. They said the beings came from the craft that emerged from the ocean. They described telepathic communication, medical exams, and claimed they had transceivers implanted in them. Investigators included Dr. Sanchez and Wendell Stevens investigated that case. So we all heard of Wendell Stevens. Let's see. And this one's my last one for Florida.
Okay.
Last one for Florida, 1988 to 1989. This was during the Gulf Breeze wave, but this was interesting because it's called the Miami bathroom abduction cases. It says during the Gulf Breeze wave, several people reported seeing small, dark beings with large heads. Some said they were taken into bathrooms during the abduction experiences, where then the entities just vanished. That's new to me. So
into bathrooms?
In the bathrooms.
Oh,
Take
my
you to
God.
the bathrooms.
Now we have portals in the bathrooms.
Mm-hmm. So those are the fun little cases, obscure cases from Florida.
Well, we got about 45 seconds left. When you hear stories like that, how do you as an investigator put any sort of validation into it?
Here's what always surprises me about doing, abduction cases in general or stories like this. You have to keep an open mind, because it never fails, Dave, that I can be talking to somebody and I could come in just, I keep it to myself where I'm like, oh, this is probably going to be a little out there or whatever. But gosh darn it, if there isn't some credibility weaved into some of these more outlandish cases. So I always keep an open mind, and I always listen to find those connections.
From the Rocky Mountain Ranch Research, Katie Page joins us for the encounters in the next half hour.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we're clear.
You should see this desk. I'm usually a neat freak, but lately it's just been it's exploding UFO stuff. And books.
Nice.
Crazy. Yeah, there's stuff all over the place.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. I better clean this up tomorrow. Oh no, tomorrow I'll be cooking.
Tomorrow you're cooking. You know what I'm doing tomorrow? Going to work.
Oh. You guys have like a Thanksgiving though too. When do you celebrate that?
October.
October.
The first weekend in October.
Okay. Is it pretty traditional like our Thanksgiving or?
Yeah, we have turkey. We do the same type of meal. It's more just a get together, enjoying a day off.
Yeah.
Some people would do it with family. Other people, like up here where I live, it's more, okay, let's go hunting and then we'll come back for a meal or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It sounds like a lot less drama if you go hunting.
Yeah, because there's nobody there. That's
Mhm.
the beautiful part.
Right.
Hunting season ends on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
So
Nice. Yeah, this year's a bit different for me. You know, all the kids are grown up and everybody's kind of doing their own thing. And I have one son's in Mexico and they're all just scattered. So it's a little kind of it gets a little harder, but you just I don't know, we're gonna have a nice relaxing day.
yeah. Yeah. No, I will be at my daytime job tomorrow. And then I will be in here tomorrow night with a Canadian guest.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Jason will be with me.
Okay. Oh, Jason's gonna be there.
Yeah. Jason Gumet.
All right. I have to tune in.
Yeah.
All right. Say hi in chat tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah. If you haven't already subscribed to Katie's page, make sure you go over there, her YouTube channel. Yeah. Because we want her to do that. Let's be honest, audience. A show of ones. Just a number one. If you think that Katie has absolutely improved what we do here, because she's amazing.
Thank you. And if I get a few more, maybe I won't. It's just like pulling teeth. It's just like so. Oh my gosh! But it's not why we do what we do. I'm trying not to look at numbers anymore because that's not what it's about. It's really. Oh, thanks. I want to stay grounded and continue what we do for the right reasons, which is to make connections, financiers, and hear everybody, hear their experiences. To me, that's the best part of all of this. So I love it.
The people are showing you love.
Aw, love back.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, guys. She's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
So we're going to be going to Nova Scotia.
Are you? For what?
Yeah, I mean, for the next segment here. There's not a lot, so I hope you have some things to add.
There's a couple of good ones there.
Well, the big one, Shag Harbor.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's Canada's most famous case? What would you say Canada's most famous case is?
I would say it's that one or Stefan Mikulik.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's great with the evidence.
My number 3 would be Corina Sybils.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah. That one happened close to my hometown. That was really cool. She went outside for a cigarette and saw a black triangle. Her boyfriend at the time says, I'm just going to go inside. And she was staring out there at the black triangle. And like 4 hours later, he walks outside and there she is again. And he's like, where the hell have you been?
Whoa.
Yeah. And from then on, it has just been total. She's been running from them ever since. And it's now affected her daughters, her grandchildren.
That's amazing. On the trifecta tonight, I had Kay Golden on with her abduction experiences. She did a couple books, Into the Gray Abyss, and she's a local Coloradoan, really close to Rocky Mountain Ranch. And I was not expecting how
I would
unbelievable.
love to interview her.
Oh, she's great.
Can you
Have
put
her
us
on.
in touch?
I absolutely will.
All
She
right.
blew my mind. Yeah.
We're gonna come back in like 15 seconds. Thank you to T-Bone for all of the gifting of memberships. Thank you to Kitty Caddywhack, Mel WD40, Area 54, Sun, and Nicole. Here we go. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio. We're going to continue with the encounters and Katie Page from Rocky Mountain Ranch Research on YouTube. We're having a lot of fun with her, but we want to remind all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Katie Page from Rocky Mountain Ranch Research is here, hanging on out with the encounters, and apparently she's taking us to the Maritimes right now.
Into Nova Scotia we go. That's always been on the bucket list. Don't they have a great UFO conference up there?
You know what's funny? It's Canada's only UFO conference, and they rarely will invite Canadian speakers.
Ah, what's up with that?
No idea. No idea.
What?
I got to give Chris Stiles heck one day.
But you have a new conference coming up in Canada, right?
Yeah, mine.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. The Caribou
So
Con.
awesome.
CaribouCon.com. VIP tickets, by the way, would make a great Christmas present. They are on sale at CaribouCon.com. That CaribooCon, CaribouCon.com.
Sounds like a great Christmas gift to me.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and tomorrow, I believe, Contact in the Desert early bird tickets go on sale. So be on the lookout for that. I'd be amiss if I didn't say something about that. So this is a very early 1796. This is called the Numinous Ships in the Air. So in October 1796, witnesses in Numinous reported seeing a formation of around 15 ships, quote unquote, in the sky at sunrise. They look like full sailing ships floating in the air with one humanoid figure standing at the front of the lead craft. The event was so unusual, it was written into the local diary of a local judge. So 15 sail ships. And I was thinking about that. If I was going to describe something as a full-blown sailing ship, would that be a triangular shape, perhaps? What would you think the shape would be if you compared it to a sailing ship of the time? Because in 1796, that's where my head went.
I'm just not sure with that, because those sailing ships have been seen for centuries. I think that the craft were camouflaging themselves into something the people would recognize.
Well, that's an interesting perspective on that. Okay. That makes okay. And I guess it depends on if you're looking at it head on, from the front, from the back, from the side. I don't know. That's really interesting though, but it was recorded, so it must have been something. Okay, so 1855, we're going. There's fishermen off Green Harbor saw a massive serpent-like creature. Okay, this one, there were so many serpent sightings around Nova Scotia that I literally had to say, I just want to know one, because they were all over the place. Even like serpent-type crazy things getting washed up on shore and things like that. But this one had like several of the loops that you see, like its body rising above the waves. So I know a lot of these serpent serpent sightings. So I wanted to get back to UFOs. Of course, there's the famous Shag Harbor, 1967. Again, a big year, multiple witnesses. This was, one of the biggest case in Canada. What is your take on the Shag Harbor incident, Dave?
100% real. Too many witnesses, from civilians to Royal Canadian Mounted Police, Canadian Navy, or the FAA in the U.S. in Maine, the United States Navy, the port authorities for the area. Way too many witnesses watch this come down. And when they pulled the flight records, because originally they thought it was an airliner that was crashing,
right? Because it just
they accounted for every aircraft.
Yeah, it's a fantastic case. I agree. Agreed. This one, 1976. This one is over Lower Sackville. It says a family in Lower Sackville saw 3 strange objects hovering near their home. A Royal Canadian Mounted Police officer arrived on scene, looked through binoculars, and also saw them. So multiple witnesses. He described a round craft with flashing red and white lights and a steady green light inside. The objects hovered silently, then began to move, shifting color to a bright turquoise. They hovered for nearly 2 hours. Now, when I hear sightings that last for this long, I tend to discredit them a little bit. That's just me, though. I'm just saying there's multiple witness here, but if something's hovering there for 2 hours, it makes me wonder what they're looking at. It says nearby neighbors who didn't see the craft reported hearing a loud, powerful roaring sound pass over their home with no visible aircraft. So was something just cloaked there for that amount of time? Were they experimenting with something like that? I don't know. Isn't there around that area, there's a few military bases out there as well, right? Because of the November 11th, 1975, that was right in that same area where they scrambled the jets. Is that right, Dave?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah. So Falcon Bridge. Isn't Falcon Bridge kind of near there?
Falcon Lake.
Falcon Lake and Falcon Bridge. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. And then, of course, we have the Nova Scotia Harry, over Lowland Cove. So this is interesting because this went from the mid 20th century till now. So this, if you want to go Bigfoot hunting, which I know you do, Dave, go to Cape Breton. Locals have reported encounters with tall, hair-covered men-like creatures for decades. Witnesses describe it as 8 feet tall, long arms, large eyes. Hunters say it sometimes follows them quietly, watching them from behind the trees. They're also in a region known for strange lights in the sky, orb sightings, folklore cryptid, other cryptid beings, and paranormal activity. So this sounds like a really high strangeness place, the Lowland Cove near Nova Scotia. Have you ever heard of that before?
I've never heard of that.
I want to go check that out. If the weirder, I want to go. Okay. And then there's the Halifax Waterfront Black Triangle. This is in the early 1980s. Multiple people along Halifax waterfront reported a large black triangle with lights at each corner moving silently over the harbor. Witnesses said that, what did it do? It blocked out the stars and moved slower than any known aircraft. Some described a humming vibration in the air as it passed overhead. That sounds very familiar to a sighting we had, it's probably been 5 years ago now, sitting in Centennial, and it literally was a big triangle, blacked out the stars. The only time we ever reported a sighting to MUFON, and get this, so at the time I'm state director, and I'm having a debate with my field investigator that I gave the case to, because to me, they put it in the books as an identified flying object, an IFO, because it could possibly be a back engineered craft because it was moving on a steady trajectory towards Colorado Springs. I'm like, but we don't know that. So it's an unidentified flying object because we don't know if that's what it was. But I let him go ahead and close it as an IFO. Kind of bummed me out.
My goodness.
Yeah. I still think it was unidentified. I mean, if we can't prove that it's our own craft, then I think it should go in as an unidentified until we can prove otherwise. But that's just me.
Well, you know what? We are at that time of the night where we have to say goodnight to you.
And that's perfect timing. That was my last case there.
You were absolutely amazing. And do me a favor, take about a minute, let everybody know where they could find your YouTube channel, your merch, your everything.
Go to Rocky Mountain Ranch Research with Katie Page, and that's Paige. And you can go to RockyMountainRanchResearch.org or katiepage.net. And it's Rocky Mountain Ranch YouTube on YouTube.
Katie Page, you are amazing. We will talk to you next week. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours.
Thank you. Everybody out there too, enjoy the day tomorrow.
You are wonderful. That's Katie Page, everybody. We absolutely love her. Let's get to the weird news of the week.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the latest bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News.
Loud noises! I am good at things, fighting and reading the news.
It's time once again for Spaced Out Radio's Weird News of the Week.
Well, remember that old folklore tale that in Manhattan, in beautiful New York City, that there were alligators in the sewer system? Well, apparently, something like this might be true. Yeah. Now, New York may not have those infamous alligators of the sewer, but Florida allegedly has the real thing. A crew working in Oviedo, I probably pronounced that wrong, so I apologize, proved the New York City urban legend was a Sunshine State reality after discovering a 5-foot gator residing in a sludge-filled pipe. Footage of the scaly subterranean terror is currently stirring up a crap storm on the city. The city's Facebook page. Just another reason not to go wandering down into the stormwater pipes, a spokesperson for the town said, as the new underground sensation has become very, very popular since being spotted this past Friday during a routine pothole inspection. A public works team had dispatched a robot equipped with a camera to get to the root of why the cluster craters kept appearing on the road above. According to a Jam Press report, well, the workers soon found something more terrifying lurking beneath the surface. On Friday's inspection, as you'll see in the video, they came across a 5-foot alligator, the city organization exclaimed in the now viral post. The mortifying moment was captured in video that recalled the enduring big city myth that inspired the 1980 B movie Alligator, and was further popularized by a scene stealer for Drew Barrymore in Steven Spielberg's 1982 sci-fi classic, E.T. But is it really a metropolitan myth? Some New Yorkers might disagree after witnessing a gator crawl out of the drain in Queens back in 2010. They said initially they mistook the cold-blooded underdweller as a toad until they saw the two glowing eyes. At first, it feels like the Sunshine State is poaching a long-withstanding Big Apple hoax. Perhaps some of the 10,000 exiles took their myths with them, until one actually seeing this spine-tingling video and realizes that the story is real, but it's not a crock. Yeah, in the freaky POV footage, the camera can be seen approaching a pair of what appear to be shining lights at the end of a tunnel in a scene straight out of the found footage horror flick. When the droid gets within a snapping distance, the beast rears up with its mouth, revealing itself to be an American alligator. The perturbed predator continues to back away with its new maw agape, and before turning tail and ambling down the tunnel with the droid in hot pursuit, the underground gator golf session ends with the robot getting stuck in an indentation as as the alligator disappears back into the subterranean lair. Yeah, it worked. All right, let's move on to story number 2 for tonight. This is Americana at its best. Its best. A motorist in western North Carolina escaped injury, luckily, when the carcass of a cat crashed into the passenger side of her front windshield, shattering the windshield, literally putting a hole through her windshield into the passenger seat. Thank goodness she didn't have a passenger, I don't think. How did this happen? Near the Great Smoky Mountains National Park? Well, let's get into it. The lady called 911 as she was on Route 74 in Swain County near Bryson City, and she told the dispatcher that a bald eagle dropped a cat right through her windshield. Yeah, it's not clear if the feline slipped from the eagle's talons or was discarded simply because the big bird didn't have the taste for cat. You may not believe me, she said on the call, but I just had a bald eagle drop a cat through my windshield, the incredulous driver said on the 911 call. It absolutely shattered my windshield. Any reservations about calling in such a story were put to rest when the dispatcher calmly responded, "Okay, I do believe you, honestly," then laughed. The driver relayed the other person who also saw the cat drop, remarking, he's like, "That's the craziest thing I've ever seen." I'm like, really? The dispatcher offered some assurance, saying, "Oh my goodness, let's see. I've heard crazier." "Well, that's terrifying," the caller said, to which the dispatcher replied with a more nervous laughter. "Yeah." After getting the driver's location, the dispatcher said she would send the highway patrol to do a report. Another question the dispatcher asked was, "Is the cat still alive?" The caller said it wasn't, but noted that the cat was now on the side of the road and not in her car. "Okay, I just have to ask to make sure," the dispatcher remarked. Yeah, how weird is that? Yeah, be careful driving in North Carolina. Let's go to Johnson's County, Iowa. A man from Iowa is accused of flashing drivers on interstates because he said he needed some excitement in his life, according to authorities. 30-year-old Danan Ari is charged with 2 counts of indecent exposure. According to a criminal complaint, drivers saw Ari standing at the back of his car as he exposed his genitals to oncoming drivers. Court files allege Ari did this 2 days in a row. The first incident was October 14th, around 7:30 in the morning on Interstate 80. The second incident report was filed around 3:30 p.m. the next day on the 15th in the northbound lane of Interstate 380. A Johnson County Sheriff's deputy said Ari admitted to the offense and said that he was literally fulfilling an excitement that was currently missing in his blah life. Further investigation was not available. Don't know when he's going to have a court date, but that's a little ridiculous. Absolutely a little ridiculous. Like, oh my goodness. This guy needs a life if he's doing that. Yeah, totally. Well, let's get to another story here. Remember Vince, the sham wow guy? Right? Yeah. Well, apparently he is now running for Congress and is looking to wipe the floor with the competition. For Vince Shalomi, the once prominent infomercial pitchman, running for Congress in Texas, according to a filing with the state's Republican Party. Shalomi is running for the seat held by Republican Rep. John Carter, who's 84 years old, who served more than 2 decades in Congress. Carter announced earlier this month he'd run for re-election, so Shalomi has an uphill battle against the entrenched incumbent. The former pitchman, best known for his role in selling the Sham Wow towel, told Fox News that he wants to destroy wokeism in Congress and that he has been motivated by the political infighting in the country to run and make America happy. In 2009, Shalomi was arrested on suspicion of battery after a fight with a woman who was also arrested. Prosecutors declined to press charges. Shlomi told NBC News at the time for the 2013 article that he takes full responsibility for his actions and that he would cut down on partying because, the ShamWell is a party treat. People understand you make mistakes in life. Hopefully, I won't make another mistake. Shalomi's candidacy is listed on the state's party's website ahead of Texas's December filing deadline for candidates, but he hasn't yet filed with the Federal Election Commission. The state's primary takes place in March. Last quarter, another one of Carter's GOP primary opponents, businessman Raymond Hamden, outraised the incumbent, but largely because he gave his own campaign a loan of $105,500. Interesting. Very interesting. I don't know how this happens. Let's see if we can find one more quickly here, because we do have a little bit of time. Let's see here. So here's one. Sometimes you got to ignore your children. A Kentucky hunter passing the time in his deer stand by playing online lottery games said he rejected a call from his son. And because he did, he is $1.1 million richer. The McCreary County man told Kentucky lottery officials he was waiting for some deer to show up when he decided to pass time with the lottery's Wolf Ridge Jackpot online game. I'm in the deer stand, and I was sitting there, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to try. I go on there. I won $1,500, and I added another $200 to my account. The man said the game kept being interrupted by calls from family members. It was making me mad because it was freezing up my phone from playing, he said. Then my son tries to call. I declined it. And then the next thing I hit it. The sound is kind of a rumbling sound, and I cannot play anymore. And I'm like, there ain't no way. And that's echoing through the woods. The rumbling sound turned out to be the man scoring $1.1 million on a $30 wager. Good for him. Didn't get his deer, though. As we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio. Rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Give me a minute, people. Give me a minute. Got to do the whole typing thing here. What the hell is this? I got an account. Right there. That's it. Seriously. You guys have fun tonight? All right, got that done. I was really surprised, guys, that we were on YouTube tonight. I know I keep saying that. There it is. Oh, for God's sakes. God, even Dropbox now wants one of those codes. Really? Weird. And here. Should be done there. Did Tim use foul language? Dry Toast, the best name on YouTube right there. Joshua, how you doing? Blue Cruise on Twitch. Remember, people, less than 24 hours before you start your lining up outside. Okay, you guys can do this. You can totally do this. I have faith in you. Mr. Cowley, how you doing, buddy? Little Cam, he's ready for some brawling. Currently, Little Cam plans on being up 24 hours. He is going to be on an absolute coffee grind right through the next 24 hours. He plans on going hard on Black Friday. You know why? Because he still does it the proper way. That's why he trains at the gym all the time. You know? He's willing to stomp people for a new PS5. All right. We is editing. Thank you tonight to T-Bone. Mel WD40, you say all gifted. T-Bone did 10. Mel did 1, gifted memberships to a bunch of you tonight. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you to Area 54, Sun 011, Kitty Cattywhack, and the lovely and talented Nicole Sackich for our super chatting tonight. Greatly appreciate that. And tomorrow night on the show, we have Jason Gilmet will join us. So for our American friends who are celebrating Thanksgiving, God bless you. You guys got an amazing, amazing country. I love you guys and want all the best for you. But please do old Davy the favor. As you head into your time with family, friends, drink, story, and song, please remember those of us who are just wanting America to get back to normal. This is your time, but guys,
Spaced Out Radio.
This is your time.
With your host,
You can do it. Black Friday. Black Friday, guys. You know what to do. Let's not disappoint. The last few years have been disappointing. We could bring it. We could bring it right now. Jersey kid, you know what I'm talking about. Saying "oorah," that means you're an ex-Marine, or you're always a Marine. But you know what I'm saying. Former Marine, is that the proper way of saying it? That's right, Julie Rios. Bring back the tales of yesteryear. We can do it. We can totally do it. Oh, man. You guys all have a good night. I'm going to call it the night here. We'll see you tomorrow on the show. Thank you very much for doing this, guys. Let's do it all again tomorrow. Don't forget to tell a friend. And if you're new here, please hit subscribe, ring that bell, and follow us on our social media platforms as well. Take care, everybody.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.